Welcome to the Marshall Pruitt Podcast and your weekend IndyCar listener Q&A. It is Wednesday afternoon, July 30th. I'd hoped to get this done on Monday. Got home Sunday night from good old WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, a.k.a. Laguna Seca. Coming home from the Java House Grand Prix of Monterey and fell asleep not long after getting home. Woke up, fell asleep on the couch. Woke up at, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, something. And had a big time sore throat and something sinus going on. So, I don't know. Maybe I just had too much fun. But nonetheless, brought home something. So apologize if I sound a little nasally or otherwise. But, as often happens coming home from motor racing events where you're around thousands of people, sometimes you get gifts with flus or whatever else is. So anyways, taken a couple of COVID tests and those all been negative. So that makes me happy, but nonetheless, so there you go. Just a little pre-episode warning that I sound like hell or more like hell. But we're going to knock out as much as we can here, and I don't have a whole lot of energy. So, although I'm drinking some coffee to try and improve that, I don't know if this is going to be the fastest paced episode. So, hit that 1.2x or 1.5x or 2x button, and it'll probably go a little faster for you. Big thanks to y'all for sending in all of the questions. Our pal Jerry Sudduth, who grabs them and assembles them, says we have about 25 questions and about 1,700 words to get through. I apologize. I'm going to be doing a lot of that this episode too. In group one, which I can pretty much guarantee we're going to get through, it says, what has that DHL team figured out that others haven't? Why did it take so long to throw the yellow for Ericsson's spin? Why does the IndyCar have slow zones on road courses? Kudos to Fox for highlighting mid-pack battles. What's wrong with Alexander Rossi? What NXT drivers not named Dennis Hauger and Kyle Collette have a chance at an IndyCar ride? Who's McLaren testing at IMS? Yeah, that's a good one. If Malukas goes to Penske, who takes his place at Foyt? And why isn't the series devoting more resources to promotion? And there's Group 2 and Group 3, and we'll see if we get to those. But anyways, big thanks as well to our show partners, TorontoMotorsports.com. They do indeed make some mighty fine modern memorabilia, t-shirts, stickers. You can buy books, die-cast models, F1, IMSA, IndyCar, you name it. Please pay them a visit, TorontoMotorsports.com, and then the JusticeBrothers.com. Oh, they do indeed make just scrumtrelescent automotive chemicals, lubricants, and cleaners. Please pay them a visit at JusticeBrothers.com. And then we have our own thepruittstore.com with older, more retro-based memorabilia. I'm trying to clear out and put towards a house fund and also some show stickers and other things. So I think we have about 200 items there. If you like, pay a visit, and that helps as well. Last quick thing to mention here, and on somewhat rare occasion, I use the show as a bit of a call to action, if possible. Mentioned on last week's show that was intending to start a film project at Monterey last weekend. That did indeed happen. Got through 10 interviews on site, added an 11th done remotely Friday morning. Was there nice and early in the media center. And that kicked off a Pacific time for me, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. remote interview with our guy, AJ Allmendinger, good old Dinger, who is in the Coforce in their Gearbox studios in Indianapolis. We did a remote interview that got filmed there. We have my late friend, one of my best friends in the whole entire world, Justin Wilson, the 10th anniversary of his passing, coming up here towards the end of August 24 to be precise, which is race day at Milwaukee. So I'm very disappointed in myself, knowing I've been thinking about this for the last year, that the 10-year anniversary was coming up. Not really knowing, not really sure what I was going to do for that 10th anniversary. I was just very disappointed in myself for taking so long to come up with, hey, I've written all the words I really have to write. Wrote thousands upon thousands when he died in 2015. Wrote more in 16 and 17, thinking about things to celebrate him, and written a lot more. And so just realized I had no more words to write, really. Not that I never will, but I don't right now. Done podcast stuff, done yada, yada, yada. Was like, I want to do a film. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I want to do some sort of documentary looking at his life, his legacy. This is a celebration of the big man. So got a whole bunch of people to sit down with me at Laguna Seca. And so that was a really productive couple of days there. Got some more interviews. We'll be doing this Friday at Road America, IMSA, Sebastian Bourdais being one of them. And got more stuff, more to go do. Going to fly out Thursday of Portland Race Week to Colorado to do an interview. And then trying to arrange one or two more remotes. But highly ambitious project to do in such a short amount of time. Really, truly had wished I'd thought of this 6 months ago. Would have been an adequate amount of time. Instead, it's going to be, boy, maybe a month, which is a lot. But anyways, good meetings over the weekend about working on distribution for it and such. And this is just a passion project. Nobody's making any money on it, etc. It's just effectively a project of love for someone that I love dearly. And as I hope you will see here soon, as shared by his friends, admirers, teammates, colleagues, and so on. The big man just universally loved, respected, and left a huge hole, hasn't been filled, but also has left a huge impact on so many of us and how we live our lives, how we conduct ourselves, how we everything. So busy working on that. I mentioned that for a reason beyond just sharing information. Need help. Need help from someone, and this would not be a volunteer. This would be a paid thing. Tell you right up front, if you're thinking this is going to be a huge windfall of money, it ain't. But need help from someone building a WordPress website around this project. A place where the finished piece, the finished doc, can be hosted. And mainly what I'm thinking of is there's way more material than we'll be able to use in whatever this ends up being, an hour long, something like that documentary. There's some brilliant answers from folks about a range of things where in the editing process, we'll end up using 10 seconds or 30 seconds. But I'd love for the full 3-minute or 5-minute answer to be available as is. So those would be more for social use or social sharing, but also want to have a lot of those items sitting on the site that folks can just go and click and watch and make sure that they aren't lost because they weren't used in the final full-length piece. So if I had time, which I do not, I would do this myself. I realize there's probably some other platforms that are better, etc., than WordPress. Just tell you that all of my sites are WordPress based, so I know them and can interact with them very easily. So that's why I'm looking for some help from someone who can, in a matter of weeks, get a doc-based support site up. So if you have an interest, shoot me a note. Marshall@marshallpruitt.com is the email address to use. Or if DM is easier, I'm not hard to find across most social platforms. So that's the public service announcement right there. Let's get into your questions. Once again, all put together by our friend, Jerry Sudduth. Randy Maynard, you are opening the show. And just back from turn 2 at Laguna. Sorry we missed you there. Says Pelot looked like he was driving a Cadillac, while everyone else was driving and wrestling old Pintos. Ooh, that's a great 1970s terrible Ford reference there. My mom had a Ford Pinto. I used to get driven to school in a Ford Pinto. Boy, talk about embarrassment. Randy goes on to say, all weekend, his car looked like it was so settled everywhere. Has the Ganassi team, do they have it all figured out? Any idea what it is that they figured out? Said even his teammates don't look that settled. Closes by saying, as so many of you do, something kind here, saying healing wishes to myself and my wife, Chabrel. Thank you, Randy. The ride quality of their cars are just insane, so we know that. Here's the thing that really stood out to me, and if y'all have or still have or want to go find wherever, highlights of the race or the full race broadcast. I was mentioning this to a friend on the phone, I think yesterday. So we had the start of the race, and then what were there, 4 cautions, 5 cautions? So again, 4 or 5 restarts as well. I think Alex was in the lead in all of them, except for the one where Nolan Siegel stayed out and took the lead. But if you watch turn 11, like it just, if you're curious about what makes Alex different, and this also answers the question in part, Randy, about what has the team figured out with the handling of their car, acceleration, power down, etc. Watch the restarts where Palou is in the lead. And you'll see him come out of turn 11. I believe the Fox camera shot was pretty much identical in all. Could be wrong, but I think it was effectively the same vantage point used for the restarts. And you see the cars coming out of turn 11 towards the start-finish line, but coming at the camera. So it's a camera pointing straight down at turn 11, cars sweeping across the apex, tracking out to corner exit and coming at the camera. And you'll see Palou do, I swear it was the same exact thing every time. Comes out, and instead of blowing over the exit curbs, and they're pretty tall, they disrupt the car a decent amount. Instead of hammering the throttle, entering turn 11, getting to the apex, and having all that momentum swing him out wide, effectively all the way over, or most of the way over the exit curb, you'll see that he doesn't go all the way out. And what you get is him getting the rear tires in particular, that's where all that horsepower is getting put down, in what looked like the optimal placement so that both rear tires are gripping as much as they can to take that power, not spin the tires, and to give him the strongest acceleration possible off of the corner. So whether it's a restart or the first lap coming around after those restarts, you'll see this thing where you see Palou come through, and it's just a vision of consistency, Randy. He is hitting effectively the same marks, tracking out each time, giving himself optimal traction and pulling away, and does it the next lap and pulling away. And the part that was just fascinating to watch, and this is one of those decoding what's making this guy different, is you would often see whomever was in second place or third or fourth. You see this comparatively tidy, like almost like, is this on a loop? This looks like he's doing the same exact thing with almost no variance. He's not going an extra 2 feet to the right this time and then half a foot the next and 3 feet the next. Like, wow. And yet you could tell his consistency by the extra movement of those chasing him. And so you see Palou, who looks like he is on rails, and you see second place, third, fourth, fifth. They're all wandering farther out. So if you're just watching the TV, it'd be going to the left side of the TV. It'd be driver's right coming out of that corner. And it's because they're obviously trying to catch the guy. I get that. But depending on who it is, they're getting on the throttle harder or earlier. And they have cars that, whether the handling isn't quite as good or their aggression is tipping this into happening. They're going farther out and over the rumble strip into the far driver's right of the corner where there's not as much traction to be had and losing time. And so it's this fascinating thing to watch. Hey, why is this guy as good as he is? What does he do around here that's so special? You watch him do this, and obviously he has to have an amazing car to be able to do that, right? It's not super understeering, super oversteering, hard to hold on to. So there's great quality in the car that he's been given by race engineer Julian Robertson to drive. But we cannot just say, oh, the car, right? Ganassi's having a great year. They found something. They're better than everybody else. That'd be the easy, dismissive answer. This was a masterclass by Palou in saying, okay, I know I have a great car, but guess what? I have also found what he believes, what he accepted to be the fastest way through turn 11. There are some long straights at Laguna Seca's 2.238 miles. The one from turn 11 down to turn 2 is the longest of all, meaning the better you get off of turn 11, the bigger the benefit. The longer that advantageous run out of turn 11 is going to shorten your lapse time down to turn 2. That's where a shorter, faster lap time is produced. And so knowing this is critical, I've got to nail this. This is a big deal. The fact that it seemed like he was inch perfect on all those restarts while you're watching others behind him wiggle out to the left side of the TV and scramble and catching little bits of oversteer and right. It told the story right then and there of someone who realized, got it, if I do this, not like he was messing up other corners, but just this here is key to a high quality lap. And rather than wanting to jump into the throttle super hard the next time and the time after and risk a bit of oversteer, car sliding farther out on corner exit and losing time on the run down to turn 2, I'm going to control myself. I'm going to push to 100%, 99.9%, whatever it is, but I'm going to push right up to the limit, but stay there and do that every lap. And as the TV told us, I mean, I was there as well to watch, but I'm just saying, if you weren't there, you just want to go back and watch the broadcast. Maybe there was a lap or two where he messed up and ran a little wide. Not saying he was perfect for all 95 laps, but I am saying, boy, this was very telling. Because instead of giving in to higher levels of aggression that might mess up his runs out of turn 11, as many did behind him, he found out where he felt was the optimal place to put the car, hit it time after time, got these rocket accelerations out of 11, shortened his elapsed times all the way up the hill, down the hill, and into turn 2, while others behind weren't as disciplined or were doing other things which maybe to them the way they were going was the perfect way they felt, and so they kept doing it. But if the guy who's leading the race and is walking away from things is doing things one way, it would not be totally strange to say, let me see if I can make that work. Let me try and adapt a little bit. So big thumbs up, obviously, to the Ganassi team. They found some amazing stuff this year. Palou has made more out of it than anybody within their 3-car team, plus the wider Meyershank racing cars that are in the technical alliance with them. But yeah, we can't just point to the car. They found something damping wise that's better than everybody. Got it. Got to look at the operator here. And what this guy's doing, it's brutal. Kill him with consistency. It is an old adage. Dixon did this for years. Dario did this for years. Newgarden did this. Pagenaud did this. Palou is someone who's doing this for a longer duration than anyone we've seen in a while. Dixon's really the last to make steady use of this to deliver those 6 championships. But Palou is someone who's realizing, yep, I could drive at 105% and be sliding all over the place and look like a hero, but then look at my lap times going, dang, I just lost 0.3 or half a second to whomever. What if I didn't listen to that devil on the one shoulder and looked at the angel on the other and said, okay, I'll play within 100% and let's see how much we can stretch things out. So the guy here, we got to look at him absolutely maximizing, Randy, what he's been given. Chris Ludwig, you've got a question no one else has asked. What's the excuse for the long delay in the yellow for Ericsson's spin? As I understand it, it was wanting to give Marcus time to try and fire the car, remove himself from that location, solve the problem himself. That did not happen, obviously. Yeah. Wrote about it this week's Racer Mailbag. Tends to be the place I'm just doing a little more of the opinion-y thought type stuff. The dedicated stories, just things have been a little busy. So wrote about that there. But yeah, terrible look. I know that race director Kyle Novak is a huge fan of races being as green as possible. And again, legitimately get it. Applaud that approach, that desire, wanting to present fans with as much, call it maximum green, as can be. This is just one that I believe universally, or close to universally, folks say, yeah, minute and a half with a car sitting sideways, dead stick, on the tarmac, not off track, but actually on track. That's a hard one to argue to allow that to happen again and again and again. Renus being off in turn 3, way off track, not a big concern. The odds of someone else going off and hitting him that far from the track, super low. No issues at all with the waiting to call that full course yellow, allow the leaders to get into the pits. They were all within their pit window, so allowed them to get in, then called to that full course, got Renus pulled out. I realized Renus didn't love that. Wouldn't expect him to. Wasn't his fault for getting hit. Guy Kirk Kirkwood was pretty forthright on the good old social medias saying, hey, my fault, I did hit him. I'm paraphrasing. My fault, did hit him, but also, he braked 70 feet sooner than was normal and or expected. So kind of an apology, maybe not, I don't know. Nonetheless, Renus didn't want to be there. Renus didn't exactly mess up and spin on his own or otherwise to get out there. And I'm sure would have loved to have been extricated much faster. He's going to lose a lap either way. As far off as he was, this is something where it's just going to take a little bit of time and effort for the AMR safety team to go get him and then pull him out. And so, got it. He's going to lose a lap. It's a pretty quick lap there, even if you're going yellow. But the 2 laps that he lost, yeah, that was a result of waiting as long as they did. But I have no issue. Sorry that your day was screwed, but the leaders who've done nothing to warrant having their day ruined, you're far enough off the track where there's no imminent danger at all. Pretending otherwise is just silly. We're going to not negatively affect the race here and let them get in and get out. Got it. Good with that. Keep doing it. They've been doing it for a while. It's nothing new, but I'm totally good with that. The part here with Ericsson, leaders had already pitted, so there was no instance of trying to leave the pits open for the leaders to pit. They pitted somewhere between, 7 and 9 laps prior, so that was already done. Had nothing to do with keeping the pits open, to my knowledge. This was just seemingly a prolonged attempt to let Marcus solve the problem, fire up using the energy recovery system, and go away. Didn't happen. And based on everything I think I've heard from lots of folks who I've called, have called me, etc., I've yet to find anyone say, yep, do that again. So IndyCar knows these things, sees them, hears them. I feel like a conversation either has been had or will be had before we go racing the weekend after next in Portland. That, hey, if we have a similar situation happen there or any other road course or street course, let's give ourselves a much smaller amount of time to see if this driver X can solve the problem. And if not, yeah, we're not going to be waiting that long. Grant Stouter, you ask, what is stopping IndyCar from implementing a system like slow zones in the WSC, in the World Sports Car Championship, in the WEC, or a virtual safety car in F1 where there's an on-track issue during the pit cycle? Seems like a smart thing to invest in, since currently we keep playing chicken with driver safety in the name of, quote, fairness. The EM marshalling panels that they use, the light boards, I believe they can do this. I believe IndyCar has the ability to do the slow zone. I believe they have the technology to do it. I believe it's a desire and implementation of rules to make this happen. So we did see, whether it was Renus's issue or Ericsson's issue, that the panels were lit, right? Caution yellow coming into turn 6, the bottom of the hill from Marcus. We saw that on the broadcast. They circled it. It was on the right. Going up the hill, you saw the panels as well, blinking yellow. So they work. This is in addition to corner workers waving flags by hand. But the solution exists. It's just a question of what it is, meaning, does everybody hit the pit lane speed limiter button through that flashing zone? Is this something where some sort of not just warning light on the dash, because they do get that when a yellow is triggered, but is there some sort of additional prompt or way that they can activate something within the dash to say, hey, there's a VSC or a slow zone, whatever it might be, about to happen, so that a driver, if I'm using the Marcus situation, firing out of turn 5, headed up the hill towards turn 6 to make that left and go up to the corkscrew. If somebody's firing out of turn 5 and there's a decision brewing in race control that, hey, we're 2 seconds away or whatever seconds away from going virtual safety car, is there something we can use to alert folks on approach to that problem area, compared to, hey, dude just fired through turn 6 where you had that big yellow light blinking and whatnot, and comes through, and because this got activated or alerted a second or two after blowing through that visual sign that things are about to happen through that trackside panel, is there something that can be done in the cockpit to alert drivers to the fact that a virtual safety car is happening? Is it a audio thing? Right? I still believe that IndyCar has the ability to talk directly to all drivers. Is there some sort of open channel to all drivers? Virtual safety car in 5, 4, 3, right? And is that a slow zone? Is it again, whatever it might be. I realize there's a lot of different scenarios here, whether it's across WEC, F1, and the specific thing we're talking about here with Marcus, for example. But does it exist? Yes. The technology is there. They have it. I think it's just a case of, is that something they would want to do? Seems like others are making good use of it. I don't know why they wouldn't. Eric Franklin, say, normally on Monday we gripe about Fox, but I want to compliment them and ask if you noticed the new item this week. When they were showing a midfield battle, they showed a track map that indicated where the battle was in relationship to the leader. Is that something they've done previously that I missed? I don't know, Eric. Probably because when I am doing race reporting, I am watching what's on the broadcast. I'm looking at timing and scoring, the publicly available timing and scoring. I am looking at or going over to the in-house timing and scoring, which is different from what's available to the public. It has points as they run. It has some other things that are really valuable. So I can't tell you with any kind of authority. As for where the battle is happening map is something that has been used recently or consistently. If it has been used, awesome. I just haven't made that mental note of it. Certainly, great credit to them for realizing, recognizing, or giving more love to things that are happening behind the leader. Would also just say, with Pelot pretty clearly on a different planet here at this, once the race went green. I know if I was a producer, I was a director, I'd be looking for lots of other stuff too, because, well, I enjoy seeing a virtuoso performance. Not everybody wants to see somebody who's just dunking on everybody the whole time. And so, yeah, great call to say, okay, a little bit of a nothing burger up front, unless you want to measure the growing gap lap by lap from Pelot to whomever was in second. So, yeah, appreciate, just like you, that the storytellers within the truck, we're certainly looking for other things to highlight. Kyle Ward, any idea why Fox and IndyCar would choose to go head-to-head with a Brickyard 400? With a West Coast race, seems like it should have been easy to avoid. Really afraid to see the ratings come out. So Kyle sent this in before the ratings hit. I believe 775,000 was the number, something like that. That would be, I wrote a story about it yesterday, so I apologize for not remembering what I wrote, but that's my head right now. IndyCar has settled in to a 700,000 viewer stretch. I think I mentioned, let's see. 734,000, not 775. My apologies. It is the 7th of 14 races so far this year to deliver an average audience between 704,000 at Thermal and the high within the 700,000s of 781,000 at Road America. So half of IndyCar's races this year have been in that 700,000 range. I hear what you're saying about why would they schedule? I mean, the reality is this. I think we're going to see more of these adjustments next year to do everything possible to make sure IndyCar has no significant competition for when the races are aired. No big, golf, hockey, whatever it is. I don't know if they can do that for everyone, for every event. And so, just overstating the obvious here, Fox Sports is wanting to make a big deal out of IndyCar. It is the only full season, call it circuit racing, series that they have. You got NHRA, which is awesome, but again, that's a very different style of racing. But in terms of what they got, they have NASCAR, they have IndyCar, and NASCAR is a portion of the season. I don't know the exact percentage, 35%, 40%, whatever it is. IndyCar is their one, hey, we got you for everything. So that's awesome. Same time, and despite the fact that Fox Sports is really trying to make a big deal out of this and help IndyCar as much as possible, it also has other things to air. And that means that in their commitment to putting every IndyCar race on the big network, doesn't mean that they have the ability to say, cool, we're just going to put you wherever you want or wherever we think would be best. and at the expense of any and everything else we have to air. So I hear you. Would love for every IndyCar race to have no televised opposition. Even so, this is what they got. The race started at, I think, 12:22 locally. Could have maybe gone a little bit earlier. Next year, assuming there's no morning warm-up, that it'll continue to get moved to later Saturday to avoid the fog and delays. In theory, without anything to run Sunday morning, I bet you they could move it up an hour or so. Or they could try and move it later if necessary, although that's probably not what local fans would want, getting out of there Sunday at 6 o'clock or whatever it is. So keeping in mind, you got TV numbers to try and hit. You have other things they need to air. You have the people who actually pay to be there that you can't just burn because you're trying to do something optimal with the TV rating while having them get home way later than anyone would want to on a Sunday evening, Sunday night. So I hear you. I don't know if there's a ton different that they could do, though. What do we go to? Taylor Solmos saying, what do you think is going on with Alexander Rossi? He's been my guy since his incredible Indy 500 win, and I can't understand why Rasmussen has already become the main success at ECR, while Rossi seems to be mid-pack at best. Yeah, let's take a little easy on good old Alejandro Rossi here. No doubt, no argument. He's had a run recently that has not been super awesome. We're looking at Iowa 1, a finish at 25th. Toronto, finish at 25th. Hasn't been amazing. Best finish since, I guess, well, Indianapolis was brutal for him, so obviously I think everybody felt bad there, but since Indy, his best finish is a 10th. That was at Detroit. And some cartoon anvil stuff, right? Mistakes, crashes, some stuff that would set him back during a weekend. He has certainly been on the receiving end of more misfortune than you would think he was due, if anybody's actually due misfortune. Been some unfair stuff, been some self-made stuff, etc. At the same time, you're seeing good old Christian Rasmussen. This kid's showing exactly the kind of thing that we thought he had on his way to winning the Indy NXT championship, right? Hey, this kid's really fast and aggressive and good. Had a bumpy first season, rookie season. Not uncommon, not unexpected. The real question was, how is he going to handle having a veteran teammate, winner of many, many races, someone who's so highly regarded? Right, Renus, last year as a teammate, still young himself, not really well-versed in being a team leader. I don't know how much Christian actually learned from Renus, but I can tell you that this season, looking at Rasmussen's rise, there's no way to give Christian the credit for all that he has achieved without saying, and because Alexander Rossi is there, and he is seeing and learning and growing as a result of having Alexander as a teammate. Not saying Rossi is the one to give all the credit to, but I am saying, look what happens in year 2 as an IndyCar driver, where Christian has, again, almost 10-year veteran? Maybe it's 10 years, I forget exactly, but a serious veteran who is loved by every team he's driven for, loved by his engineers, mechanics, loved by his engine suppliers. Like, this dude is the pro's pro. And you look at Alexander's first half of the season. I realize these weren't like close to being on the podium finishes, but a 10th and a ninth and an 8th and a 10th. And like, this was pretty darn good top 10 consistency. And things have gone a little pear-shaped since then. He's I think 18th in the championship right now. Can certainly improve that to 15th, 14th, maybe even better. Rasmussen, though, that 6th place at Indy, I think Detroit didn't exactly go to plan, but he had a podium at Gateway. What else did he do? I think he had a couple of bumpy races there, but yeah, 3 top 10s in the last 3 races. Like, the kid's finding something that is looking consistent. I know your question was, what's wrong with your guy Rossi? I don't think anything's wrong with him. I think we're going to Portland, which feels like a place he should just get back to normal running, which is very good. Would expect the same at Milwaukee and Nashville. So what isn't helping is everything that happened during the off season. We are cutting VK, replacing him with a veteran, big new investment, awesome new sponsors, co-owner, etc. And Rossi is the vet we are pinning our hopes on for being the one to turn things around. And behind the scenes, without a doubt, he is certainly responsible for helping the team to do so. What we're seeing is this Rasmussen kid, 14th in the championship. Again, he could probably make his way to almost 10th, maybe, who knows, better. But we're seeing Raz as the one who is making fewer mistakes as he's going on in his 2nd season, is running very competitively as well, and is getting to the finish line in really good positions. I think, again, don't hold me to the exact number off the top of my head, but I think he's at 5 top 10s, something like that. I think 3 top 6s for a midfield team that is trying to become better than midfield. The kid's doing everything and more they could ask. Rossi being on a bit of a slide, not huge, but just not that early season form where it seemed like he was almost always in the top 10. We're going to find out over the next 3 races how real Rasmussen's rise has been. We're also going to find out, assuming there's no more cartoon anvils striking Alexander's car, where the two of them measure up. So I don't look at what's happened for the second half of the races run so far and look at Alexander and go, oh, you lost it. It's gone. Kid's beating you and you're ruined. No, the guy's too strong mentally for that. But I genuinely do see these last 3 races, barring some sort of misfortune to make either one of their results go in a wrong direction. I do look at the last 3 races as a really cool, like, okay, what's the state of the Ed Carpenter Racing Union between these two? Has a grabbing of the baton happened? And this Rasmussen kid is now demonstrating, like Pelot did at Chip Ganassi, like whomever did it wherever. Are we seeing a change of status here? Or are we going to see Rossi back to doing what we expect him to do and come out ahead here the last 3 races? So, a good question, great question. Good timing. If you're interested, send something back in after Nashville, and we can revisit this and I think draw a pretty strong conclusion. Where are we going to go next? Daniel Espinosa. Daniel says, out of the current top 10 in Indy NXT, apart from Hager and Kyle Collette, who do you project can have a shot at making it in IndyCar? It's another conversation I was having with somebody today. if we're looking at pure merit, as in you're driving the car very fast and someone's going to pay attention and want to hire you, you're talking about the two. If you're looking at the ones that have potential to pique interest going forward, not for 2026. We're talking 2027. I mean, Lockie Hughes for sure. I realized that Kaio's amazing run last weekend. 2 victories, 2 poles, just right badassery at Monterey. Realized that that's created a little bit of separation between himself and Lockie now, Kaio being second place. But, I mean, it's been the Lockie and Dennis show for most of the year. Last 3 results for Lockie, I mean, one of them, first Laguna, wasn't so bad, but he's in the need to be running second or third or winning at all times mode, and in a bad result at Iowa, bad, everybody seemingly crashed at Laguna, but a bad second race at Laguna. So nonetheless, I look at Lockie and say, yeah, he belongs in that conversation, but he needs another year. He's by no means ready. If he returns, assuming he's back next year, I think we're talking about immediate title favorite. Miles Rowe, I realize he's in year 2. Realize that he's 4th in the championship and did win a race, which is awesome. Got to see him and spend a little time on Friday. Yeah. He needs another year. Just needs another year. So, and when he does make it to IndyCar, which we definitely hope will continue to be a possibility, we expect that to be with Penske Entertainment behind it. So, if I'm just looking at the who's doing things that is going to have your Dale Coynes, Juncos Hollingers, others that are, you know, known to be looking at newer, younger drivers, giving them a shot. You've mentioned the 2 between Hauger and Collette. I don't know where Kaio would fit next year, but I hope he would certainly earn some interest from teams. But if I have to look at coming out of 2026, Lockie and Miles for sure. A lot of others who have talent, talent for sure. We need to see them do another full season to know where they belong in that conversation, right? Evagoras Papasavas, he's done partial season and shown at times like, whoa. Max Taylor, right? Seen some real glimpses there. Liam Skeets, that kid seems like he has all the potential, but just need to see him in a full season for sure. Salvador de Alba, right? You get glimpses there. I think last weekend also, he's been very good this year. Last weekend for Josh Pearson, 2 podiums, really, for the first time, made me go, okay, something's clicking. Back for another year, I'm sure. And I don't really care how long it takes a kid to get to where they need to be ready for IndyCar, but he's looking like someone that if his form can continue for what he has found recently, he's probably the 3rd driver between Lockie, Miles, and himself where I go, okay, I think you'd be ready to go to IndyCar and do well. Can't tell you whether they'd win a race or win a championship, but at least be properly prepared. There's some others who, again, I'd love to see have more time. Jordan Missig stands out as one of those, and plenty of. I guess I could probably name all of them, but those 3 for sure jump out to me as the ones where I say, okay, let's see what you got, kid. Ed Joris, got a number of folks asking about this. So McLaren's going to test a, quote, move the needle name at IMS. Any chance that's Robert Wickens? It'd be amazing if it was. Knew nothing about this. Had a friend show me the headline and said, hey, what do you know? And I'm like, I know nothing. Completely clueless. And so I reached out to a friend at the team who would know and who said, there's nothing. There's no plan. There's no name. There's no test date. There's no anything. That could happen. It could change. There could be a call that comes in a minute from now or an hour or a week or never saying, hey, we're going to go run so-and-so at the Speedway. But as for the team having a clue about who, what, where, and when, was told zero is known, and there's no time, place, or anything else. Had someone else tell me that it was a bit of a wind-up, which I'd be unfortunate if that were the case. Sometimes I can tell when someone's trying to feed me a story that I know is just a story, not something rooted in truthiness. Again, wasn't there, no clue what was said, what wasn't said, so I can't speak from any kind of place of knowledge here. I just know that I had one person with knowledge of things saying it was a little bit of a wind-up, and another person, both of whom who would know, say that there's truly nothing planned, nothing known, there's no names, there's been no proposed anything, but that could change in an instant, so we'll be ready if that call comes through telling us to go test so-and-so on this date and time. Tim Hubble, you say, with the talk that Will Power probably won't be back in that number 12 Penske car, what do you see as the most likely Penske or Foyt strategy to fill that second car for 2026? Will it continue to be somewhat of a development seat for Miles Rowe? Will they fill it with a young hot shoe? Will they bring in a veteran, etc.? And does that second Foyt seat become as prized a possible open seat as, say, Marshank Racing's number 66 second entry? So we're still waiting on news as for where young Will Power will be driving. No information has been shared as to whether that's remaining in the 12 or not remaining in the 12. No information has been shared as for who will be driving that number 4 Foyt car next year. So, and that's as of July 30th. Could change tomorrow. But we'll just share this. That second Foyt car, until this season, so until 2025, y'all, has been a paid opportunity from a driver who's bringing a heck of a bunch of money to be in that car. That's the way it's been for many years now. Stingray Robb was in that car last year. Year before, what I think it was Benjamin Peterson, if I have my years correct. Before that, Dalton Kellett. And so all sweethearts and people we really enjoy, but nonetheless, we've had the primary car, that number 14 Sexton Property Chevy, that has been funded, call it externally, sponsors paying for it, hire the driver for that, which they do with Santino Ferrucci. And the second car has been the money maker, something where the team seeks full funding for it to be on track. That's been taken over this year through Penske. Penske bringing in one of their associate sponsors, Clariance Technologies, which we've seen on the car since Indy 500. This is the first year in a long while where someone other than the Foyts have had to go find a driver with a sizable budget to keep it on track. So, if Will Power were to be out of the 12, and they call up Davey Malukas to drive the 12, the real question here is, what does Penske do, if anything, with that second Foyt car? I do not believe, nor have I met anybody who believes that Miles Rowe is ready to step into that car for next year. Doesn't mean that it wouldn't happen, just I hope it doesn't, because the kid needs a little more time. So what then happens? The thing that's waiting to be learned, I'd say it's probably even bigger than Will, wondering what his fate is going to be. Davey Malukas knows he's going to Penske at some point in time here. That's not a question for him. It's a question of timing. Will doesn't know whether he's going to be employed. That's a big thing. The biggest of all, though, is on the Foyt side, because they're waiting to learn what's going to happen with Malukas, because, to my knowledge, there's no immediate backfilling plan for that car with a Miles Rowe or someone else Penske's going to put in there. And assuming that's the way things go, and Davey Malukas is headed up to the 12 car next year, barring some sort of change, Foyt would need to go find $8 to $11 million to keep that sucker on track. That'd be a really hard number, tough amount of money to find in a short period of time from sponsors. More likely scenario is from a funded driver or more than one funded driver to be in that car to keep it on track the same way it was prior to 2025. Then there's the other daunting question as well, with Marlene Sexton's unfortunate passing. I need to catch up with Larry and try and get a little better idea here, but she was the very consistent, dedicated person making sure there was funding for that 14 car after some silliness happened with previous sponsors. The hope is Sexton Properties will continue as the primary sponsor, but if there were to be any change there and Davey Malukas were to head up to the 12 car, there's a worst case scenario here where the Foyts could indeed need to find $20-ish million to run both cars. Realize we have a long off season in IndyCar, but that's a scary amount. So for their sake, I am, and I'm sure many others are crossing fingers and toes and doing whatever we can with prayers and well wishes that everything stays status quo with the 14. Funding is good, everything's great. And if it's just a case of needing to find a funded driver for the 4 car, or who knows, maybe Clarence Technologies is finding value and might want to stay, or maybe Malukas stays in the 4 car and another year of Penske or Penske affiliated funding continues there, then everything's fine. But the one angle I would not look at this from, Tim, is, well, hey, if Malukas is moving up, who's going to get put in the car? Unless there's some sort of change and a newfound Penske willingness to just keep paying for that second car, or have sponsors that they're affiliated with to do so just cause. This is the team having to find money and or paying drivers, if not both. And I would believe reverting back to what they had to do through 2024. Let's see, last couple here before we say farewell. Kevin DeVries says, it seems the oft-lambasted racing criticism of, quote, just needs more marketing seems to be ringing more true with IndyCar as of late. With the lack of promotion of the Iowa Nashville events, leaving Fox to do the heavy lifting for the series proper, does IndyCar or Penske Entertainment not have enough people in these types of roles? Or are the upper echelons reluctant to admit that they're out of touch in the current sports marketing landscape? Says there's lots of independent content creators out there who get it and do much better jobs at promotions than the series themselves. I mean, Iowa was a bit of a special circumstance, I'd say, Kev. They had the biggest, best, most, we're going to just spend wildly event sponsor, co-promoter in Hy-Vee, and Hy-Vee left and took the crazy, wild money and activation team and their concert division, which brought all those huge, that's just a black hole that was left behind. And so I'm not saying that in a critical way of Hy-Vee. They got what they wanted out of the event and, they left. Normal. But there is no way you're going to replace a Hy-Vee the following year with another sponsor that's going to go that crazy. Like, that was very unicorn-esque of what happened. So to see it fall back to normal levels of promotion, something where IndyCar now effectively the sole promoter, track renter, and whatnot. You saw what falling back to earth looks like. Could they have spent more? I'm sure. Last year's racing was terrible, right? Nobody wanted it to be that way, but that's what it was. So you had big Hy-Vee promotion, the biggest concerts ever, the biggest names ever, most popular ever of the 2-3 years with the monster concerts. And then they go away. You have no concerts, and anybody who was there last year, who might have been coming out just for the music but decided to enjoy the racing as well, probably left going, this was about as boring as it gets. You could not have set things up for a bigger year-to-year drop than what took place in 2024 and then change coming into 25. So it's not that I'm trying to defend or anything. I'm just saying I don't know what amount of money IndyCar could have spent to really have made Iowa a big success. I think it was always due for what happened. Hopefully those who said, no, I ain't coming back, at least watched the races this year, especially Sundays, and said, oh, okay, actually that's closer to what I want and expect. I'll come back if they continue hosting the races. Nashville, I don't live there, so I can't tell you what kind of billboards or public signs and alerts of, hey, a race is happening, are going up. I can at least tell you that from what I see online, from what's coming into my inbox, I am really seeing a ramp up now that we're in approximately 1 month to that finale. And it feels like that's about the right timing. You know, blasting people 3 months out. I don't know. Maybe that's the right way to do it, but doesn't seem like I see a lot of that. So I've noticed within the last week, Kev, what feels like a decent uptick in Nashville-related marketing and promotions. So we'll see. The thing that also cannot be ignored is we have Big Machine Records, the Big Machine Promotions, the Big Machine everything. They're still going to put on the Friday night fun downtown. I think we're going to get the same pit stop competition and some music and some other stuff like they did last year, even though it rained a little bit. Maybe that dampened things a little bit. And they remain the title sponsor of the event, but they are not doing the event promotions itself. The racing, hey, come out to Lebanon, Tennessee to watch the race. So doing the Friday open party jamboree downtown and funding the sponsorship of the race, but the rest is on IndyCar. So this too is something where we are going to certainly have eyes open, trying to figure out what IndyCar was able to do as the sole promoter of the event at Nashville. Look at the grandstands, look in the infield, and make a year-to-year visual comparison of that's up, that's down, that's the same. I'd say if it's the same, I'd be really happy. Last year was pretty darn good. Not great, but pretty darn good. For it to be any better, I mean, there's certainly plenty of room for it to be better with greater attendance, but if that were to happen without Big Machine promoting the event, that would be a huge win. Even status quo, I think, would be something where IndyCar would deserve some applause. Because we know how hard Big Machine, Scott Borchetta, we know how hard they pushed to make this speedway venue work after the downtown venue getting taken away. So I hear what you're saying. Feels a little premature to make any statements about what is or isn't being done or is or isn't sufficient until we get through Milwaukee, which is an IndyCar promotion, and we get through Nashville. Be a good one to send back at the end of the season as well. And we can have one of them honest conversations about what we done seen. James Lau, Asking how Laguna Seca stacked up against some of the other tracks on the bubble to return. As I understand, it's returning. So we should be good there. Was massively happy / surprised by the size of the audience and turnout there. It's normally a ghost town. It was not over the weekend. Back to the Nashville statement. Plenty of room for improvement. Don't get me wrong. Been to Laguna forever. Was there for all the years of kart's heyday. Remember it taking 45 minutes, if not longer, to get up the hill, right? Like race morning, having to leave very early, being there for whatever it might be. Atlantic race, Indy Lights race, or even the kart races, whichever team I was working on, having to leave nice and early. Because otherwise it was going to be impossible to get in because it was so packed. Nothing like that. But it went from being, this is the first time, my home race, since IndyCar returned in 2019, where I left saying, okay, this is working. Every other year was I don't know, that this money might be getting paid, sanction fee to promote this. IndyCar is getting money for this. I get that. But visually, this is not helping the series. This is the first year it was like, okay, there's real energy in life and there's real people here. Still needs to be doubled or tripled. But there was a reason to leave there and go, yeah, IndyCar should come back, provided what we saw this year maintains and can be built upon. So I think we're going to be in good shape. Justice Thomas says, why does IndyCar put such a huge amount of the blame for its poor ratings and race attendance on the fans? Seems like whenever a race disappoints, the first conclusion reached by IndyCar management, drivers, and some media members is that, quote, you guys didn't show up. I don't know who's saying that, but if so, they suck. I mean that. Like, if folks are genuinely saying that, Justice, from the series or drivers or media, they suck. So I'm sorry if they're saying that. Closes by saying, I'm no MBA, but in what other industry does it make sense to criticize your customer base for not buying what you're selling, as opposed to taking a long, hard look at your product and figuring out what you can do better? I'm with you. And I've tried to convey similar things asked by a number of folks last weekend, fans and whatnot, about schedule and where might we go, and know that one of the things coming into the event that was being discussed a lot was, could the Laguna Seca weekend, where it sits on the calendar, end of July, is that going to be replaced? Not replaced, meaning Laguna Seca leaving IndyCar, but could the weekend be overtaken by a trip to Mexico? That was the main thing being discussed or asked. But wherever it ends up fitting on the calendar next year, look forward to learning that. But to your point, it was asked by a bunch of folks, calendar stuff, what do you think and where, and what do you think about ovals and Iowa? Oh my gosh. And again, I just keep using the same explanation. IndyCar as a product is no different than anything else you see on the shelves at your favorite grocery store or otherwise. And if you're walking down the aisle and you see one type of drink and there's almost none of it left, and there's another one and it is just well stocked at all times, it tells you something. Folks are buying the hell out of one and are leaving the other one on the shelves. If you get a race like Laguna, and for the first time since started going back in 2019, you go, hey, people are buying this stuff, right? That product is finally starting to sell. You go, cool. There's a reason to keep it on the shelves. You look at something like Iowa, I don't think it's going to be back. I've heard nothing from anybody that I know who would know that said, oh yeah, for sure, it's coming back. I hope it could. In the many ways we've discussed what they might do differently to make it more popular, cheaper, etc. Run it as a single-day event, night race. Doesn't even have to be a weekend. Who knows? Could be a Thursday night thunder type thing or a Wednesday night wheels out or I don't know what. But I'd love to see it get one more shot because the Sunday race in particular was pretty darn good. But If it goes away, that is exactly what this is. Folks voting with their wallets saying, nope, I'm leaving that on the shelf. So I'm with you. I'll just leave that there. Adam Joseph, he says, less a question, but after you mentioned last week that the Justice Brothers products weren't really publicly available, said you were able to find some in the automotive section of Menards in the greater Indianapolis area. Was their water displacement / general lubricant in their brake cleaner? I believe you're referring to, and I'm looking at it right now on my shelf, JB80. Twice as good as another water displacement product that uses the number 40. So that's awesome to hear. You can tell how often I go and look for such things, which isn't enough, because I think I said you can't get them publicly. But great to hear that some of those products are indeed available, commercially available, and you can find them. So thanks for noticing. And yeah, JB80, twice as good. Where else do we go here? You know, Jason Hoover, Todd McMurray, Cody Oakwood, Alec Christodoulou, and a few other of y'all, Paul Ingram. Why don't we carry some of these over to next week, Jerry? Because I feel like I have gotten through most. Oh, you know what? Let me take this last one, because there were a number of folks wanting to or asking about this. Toronto, what's going to happen? Knowing that we have World Cup coming and basically meant to take over the area where the race is held for a long old time. Again, could be wrong. As I've been told, the reason we don't have a calendar published yet for IndyCar is because of Toronto. Not saying that every other race, new race, potential this, that, and the other is locked in, and it's just this one that's holding everything up. But if you can understand the accordion, domino effect, sorry. Assuming Toronto will continue next year, which IndyCar President Doug Bowles told us a couple weeks ago, he expects it and Laguna and Portland to all be back. They got to find where it would fit. And fitting in the normal place is not really an option. So, figuring out where Toronto would land, assuming there's no decision made to just hit the pause button for 1 year and come back in 2027, figuring out exactly where it would fit, get approval for it from city council and so on, that is not just a permanent racetrack deciding when you're going to come play. This is a lot of work that needs to be done. So, the question here from Seb says, rumors about it. Could it be a new location in the Toronto area? Could it go on hiatus? Could it change dates? Etc. I've heard all the above. And yeah, as I understand, they're trying to figure out what can we do? Where can we do it? Don't want to lose it. And once they get a direction there, hoping it stays, wherever it's going to be held, whether it's exhibition place or otherwise, and then put that on a calendar that does indeed allow them to go, okay, cool. We probably had to move some things around for that, and now we can slot in the others, lock those in, make some announcements about where we're going, some places that are new and or different, times or places on the calendar with others that are familiar, and then we can indeed have a schedule. And you know, Lance Snyder, our Minister of Mirth, you say, MP, good old buddy, old pal, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you looking forward to binge watching an entire season of Seinfeld? And why is it a 10? I think I said if Pelot gets to 10 wins, I will watch the entire first season of Seinfeld, the worst, dumbest, most popular show ever. I feel like I might have stacked the deck a little bit there, because there's 3 races left and he'd need to win 2 more. I did say 10 races, right? I think I did. Yeah, I might have played it in my favor a little bit. But if he does win 10, wins 2 out of the final 3, I mean, I deserve this punishment, Lance. So, and knowing Pelot and how much he hates winning when I have really powerful beers present, I can guarantee you that, and I'm not going to tell him that I made this bet because he will for sure find a way to win the 2 extras to get to 10. But I can guarantee you, if he knew he could make me suffer by winning 2 more, he'd probably do things. Forget the being a 4-time champ, winning the $1 million and the Astor. Forget all that. It's just creating misery for me. I think that might end up being his highest form of motivation. So I'm probably overestimating that because he's a genuinely nice guy. But yeah, he has not been happy the last time or two when I've showed up with post-race beers. So payback is probably in the way. All right, y'all. Jerry, carry over whatever you think is best for next week. I'm off to Road America here tomorrow. We'll be back. And then, got a busy week next week. We're flying out and filming another item for the Justin doc. If any of you are still listening and know your WordPress real good and want to make a little bit of money, but not enough to really feel like it's going to be probably worth your time or effort, shoot me an email, marshall@marshallpruitt.com. Big thanks to the Justice Brothers, TorontoMotorsports.com, and also our own ThePruittStore.com. And I'll speak to y'all hopefully in a less phlegmy, coffee, sneezy voice next week.